Okay, so, we're right on time. Good job, Gladys. How's everyone doing? I was Thanksgiving. I was in this semester. Yeah, I know. So I just kind of agree that we give it to, you know, my son, you know, like, for the first time we went to a shooting here. My papa, the first thing my kid, and we stay in an Airbnb. Yeah, and he made a video. She from Colombia, here, maybe 12 months ago, no, 14 months ago, they've been together over a year. And once that you like, you want to tell me something, that's what like that, and one to the home. Correct. And the mom, the mom was alone in the home. How old is your son? He's 20. Okay. And like, yeah, the adult is pretty bad. So, don't let it happen. Which allows you to be reminded of what you're going to do. So that's great. And like, you know, so the legal situation I noticed with the kids and they try to hold do that. So thank God we come back, but then we have to. Right. So it's like, I'm like, so now your son is back. He came back a few weeks ago. And so they broken up? Yeah. She was. Oh, dang. Like a telenovela. Tell me about it. What is happening? Drama. Oh, I'm like, oh my God. Even work with you in your 20s as a 3-year-old, you know? That's like, well, when you're 20, you think, you know, I know all the things. And then when you're in your 40s, it's like, I didn't know. Big jump. Yeah. But like, you know, he's like, because they see when you turn all glasses of vision from I came it up tapping it one, working on the other one, and they reopened. He was buzzing here. Right. And I love yeah. Oh my God, I feel like punching him. So that's why I go to the gym, because it's like, oh my God. You get your, yeah. I need a bench because people think me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just going to the gym. And then that way, you know, so he was gone for almost 6 months, we were from the over 2 months. We didn't like you, right. I see you, bro. I see it's fun. And then supposedly they turned one, they had the first anniversary in the 26th November. You've done it. But at some point, like, you know, he made us a leaf or something. He came up with loans on. This is a dramatic. We need some dramatic. And he gave her a car. I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had a boyfriend like you when I was 20, you know? So, well, that. Yeah, no. And she was. It is the time to make poor choices. I know with someone, I know I was trying to reach and I didn't need to well, that's what I had to do. So I don't want you to make the same mistake. So, you're at some point in like, hey, that's wake up. Yes. Yeah. That's the word. Right. We're sending all of our comments to you. Did anyone else have fun family drama? Let's hear it. Feel the tea. That's why we're like, we're connected fucking so much. Like, we need a moment to not, but so
So my older brother is 26. He was in June, and we live in he wanted to closer to your grandparents and 15 minutes from her house. She's been loving it down there. I was living with her close friend 4 months away, and he's very close to my parents. So he's been really like surprised with that. And in like October, he came home. That they got in a big fight, and now they call it. So this is another. He moved back home. Yeah, it's Friday. They put in his 2 weeks. Let's say it was on Thanksgiving. So he was working down. Yeah, he worked in a food plant. Did he go to Florida? He did. He went to Milton. He's an indicator. She went there. They got there first. And wow. Yeah. So there, do you think there's any chance of like them reconciling? Well, her thing was that she didn't want to be closer. Right. He was like, okay, what about like an hour? Right. An hour outside of Chicago. I guess so expensive that they probably couldn't afford it. Right. And she was like, no. He's like, not even like, no. And she was not. Yeah. And he's trying to think of it. And he's gonna do something, obviously. But like me and my mom are kind of like, no, like she's not agreeing with them. Like it's probably never gonna change. Right. And that being said, because they had 3 dogs together. It's like that. The other kids keep animals. Kept the cat though. His name was Mandy. But yeah, because they got all 3 dogs, so they. But the thing that keeps them was they lived in Alabama for a year, and it was her choice. Like, did anybody else move to Alabama from that's really the it was like Gulf Shores. So I'm like, we're talking the furthest point of Alabama. And it was like, all right, this but like 13 hours later. She grew up down there, but yeah, so she lives in St. Joe's. It's like it's like just but it's like 50 straight road. So right. So like yeah, it doesn't want to right. I don't know. I don't think asking an hour would be much. Yeah, you have to be flexible. Right? Yeah, but you have to compromise. Yeah, and I think that seems like it would have been a fair amount. Yeah, because it's not like anything like right next to our house. It's not like an hour on the drive, but you're still like an hour and a half from your family. Right. I thought it was a good thing. Tried to compromise, but she was. It's also I like the room. I was my grandma used to say my grandma used to say that when you know as a parent of like normal people we're supposed to be afraid of these kind of things. That's why yeah, with the dad at the end of the day they really show you the true colors. Some of the text so, I was like that's coming from you? Yeah. And I did the same thing with my son. He showed me his phone and he's like, look, she's running. And I'm like, oh my God, this which they yeah. And you see her pictures like I was like, no, I don't like her. I like her. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. How do you do that? How do you say?
Tell me. Well, that my son's mine too. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, let's keep hoping that my son continues to be like a mama's boy and don't like listen to me unconditionally.
It'll stop.
Oh, I know.
And then especially when they grow up and they
We're going in a field and running a field with them on Friday. And I'm like, oh, are you gonna sit with me on the bus?
oh, and maybe they'll tell you like you can sit with because that's what my son did. Yeah. Oh, maybe you can sit with I'm going for you, so.
He's definitely going to be sitting for you. I want to be with you. And I keep calling it. No,
I always get them when they get out of the car and they inside.
Oh,
I
so
love the car, that's all
I did not have that
Just
yet.
put it
Like,
inside the
people still
car.
let me like hug them and get them before we go to school, so I haven't gotten the full shoulder, but I'm sure that's. No.
Not in front of people. Just put it inside the car. I'm like, oh, that's so weird.
Let me give you a hit.
I thank
One.
you.
Jesus.
It's
Any other fun stories that anyone can share before we wrap up? Oh, I'm a puppy. Do you have a picture of that puppy?
It's a mix, but it's a people like a French dog.
Oh, okay. So like a big dog and a little dog. How old is he? Oh my God. Oh my God,
I
he's
don't
like,
have
he's
like the
like,
best pictures.
he's
but-
just like so squishy little, it's like a little, he looks like a seal. Like a little seal.
He is so.
Can we just pass
Yeah.
the phone around? All right, pass the phone around, see the pup.
Just the fact that I said.
In there, I put some great pictures, you don't want to, I don't have it anymore. No swiping. He does look like a seal. He looks like a little seal, right? Yeah. He's really- Do you have a name?
Yeah, we just said Dino.
Dino.
Because my husband and I were like, we gotta have a name that we could say expansion. Dino. Dino.
That's what I did when my kids' name. I'm like, when, like, you know, usually they call me. Red, I'm like, Elian. And I'm like, oh, like.
Yeah.
Everyone just calls my son Alex. Yeah. It doesn't.
Yeah.
So.
They call it. Yeah.
Now you want them to give him a big name because we'll probably come up with a nickname for him.
But then I believe a lot in numerology. So like, so Adrian, like, you don't put an inch of Adrian, but then like when I put it with the last name, I'm like, I needed to be number 7, so I put an H, and I'm like, Mom, I'm the only Adrian with an H. I'm like, oh, you're unique.
Oh, so, okay.
So his name is ADHRI again.
Yeah.
So then it comes 7. But then it was funny because like when I got married, my husband adopted him. And then he changed his last name. So I'm like, oh my God, now we have to find another name. That's number 7. He's like, no, you're not doing that. He's like, no, you're not
So
doing
now
that.
we know all the kids in your classrooms that have these interesting names with extra added letters that don't always make sense.
Now you know.
Now it's the numerology thing, maybe. Their moms are into that.
Yeah.
All right, cool, new puppy. All right, well, good luck.
Our boys come back, brother and son.
Yeah, the boys are back. The puppy's here. I can't wait to see this little guy grow. Next semester, you'll have to
Update.
She's like, I don't have Dino anymore.
Oh my God, I would love it to bring her. I have insurance.
I was gonna say, let's put him in the bag.
No, I do like a couple. Like cats, a dog and 2 cats. And all the other cats that have goes on to there. The whole beach. All right, so technically we're like, I guess we're supposed to meet next Monday, but we're definitely not. Okay. So that, okay, so like. When I was and this had the last day, it was like Friday. And then something else came up. So back to the website. I know. And they have all these. One is the semester, but next semester. So you have to prepare your presentation and bring it close. I did. But yeah. Okay, well, we are going to plan presentation. And I've gotten a lot of assessments, some of them, so like. It all. Yeah, so that's what you're supposed to. Yeah, so the upload button, like, but then submit, you have to click submit for it to like go. But then the one that I submitted, I said, yeah, don't worry about it, yeah, the water. So I'll get through the rest of those. I know, I can't believe it, it's crazy. Semester went like really fast. This is like, this semester, so it's this year. I was like, oh, like, oh, yeah, yes. So 5, like, so 10, God, you are, that's crazy. That's too much. Like teaching 3 classes is just already a lot. And rolled up in the ribbon window. I know. Okay, so if you, okay, I see that some have been shared. And, and I see some, unit plan presentations in E12. So, so yeah, if you're, want to share it with me, share it, and then we'll get started. Does, is there anyone that like wants to? Go first.
Oh, wait, Mandy last.
Okay. Okay, so you guys will go second. Put this up. Do you need a snack? I'm gonna get a snack while we get all set up.
Yeah, keeping that, yes, yes. Presentation. It's all about conflict. So we'll start with our theme and background. It's about all about pumpkins. So obviously our topic is about pumpkins. We do a preschool age 4 to 5, and this is covers math, science, language arts, social emotional development arts. And the class consists of 18 preschool students. The background is Native American, African American, Asian, Spanish, um, and with ELL learners, and to with like so for the rationale statement, the goal of this unit is to encourage collaborative and individual learning, focusing on learning. And like the whole unit, there are multiple lessons and types of learning styles that cater to all the students' needs, and it's also starting to reinforce their counting skills. We thought that this unit matched well with the student subs, just because if it's done around like October, they're starting to see pumpkins and a lot of things, so it highlights that. And then so teaching the kids about the pumpkins and focusing on math links to the broader learning goals. This unit will benefit skills such as social, emotional, and cognitive development. Throughout the lesson, it's a lot of group work, individual work, so it's strengthening collaboration and communication. The goals and standards for language arts describe familiar people, places, things, and events, and with teacher assistance, provide additional detail. Engage in book sharing experiences with purpose and understanding. For math, we have show understanding on how to count out and construct sets of objects of a given number up to 5. Count with understanding and recognize how many in a small set of up to 5. Show understanding of location and ordinal position. For science, develop and use models to represent their ideas, observations, and explanations to approaches such as drawing, building, or modeling with clay, and describe, compare, and record information from observations and investigation. For arts, we have use creative arts and the need for self-expression, describe and respond to creative work along with the creative work of others, and social emotional development, recognize any emotions in oneself and others, and show respect and empathy for others. So by the end of the unit, students will be able to identify like the parts of a pumpkin, and also made hands-on exploration with the pumpkin as well. So sensory activity with like the Play-Doh, with the seeds, and like other colors, and each the field trip as well. So we have like the field trip at the end. So these are just our assessment tools. For formative, it's just through observation, being able to watch the kids throughout all of the lessons. And then just taking notes during group discussions and all the activities that they're doing to keep track of any students who are struggling or excelling. For the ongoing assessment, they could do daily reflection journals. So they could draw or describe what they learned through in that lesson or in that day. And this would be them like recalling events that they went over. And then interactive games, like doing pumpkin themed activities. We'll assess the children's understanding through their responses and their participation. For the summative assessment, there's the pumpkin learning projects at the end of the unit. They will share what they learned about pumpkins through a show and tell format. They'll present the portfolio containing their work and reflections, including drawings, labels, and photos from the activities.
For the parent involvement of pumpkin patch field trip, parents are invited to volunteer on the field trip to a local pumpkin patch, pumpkin carving at home. Parents can help their children to carve a pumpkin, discussing parts of it. And weekly updates, teachers will send home a newsletter with updates on the unit's progress, including suggestions for home activities like counting pumpkin seeds or reading books about pumpkins.
For the content integration web, we have the pumpkins, we have a language, we have like reading books about pumpkins, introducing new vocabulary, turn and talk. For social, we have pair students who sort pumpkin seeds, dramatic play area to sell pumpkins, so students will be the farmers and then will sell their pumpkins. For the affected pumpkin faces with different emotions, share their favorite part of pumpkin. For the physical, they will roll pumpkins. They have the tweezers as well for the seeds. Cognitive, they will learn about the cycle of pumpkin. Also practice counting seeds. And for the aesthetics, they have like pumpkin decoration, exploration, and sleep art.
For the unit resources, a lot of it's just stuff involving pumpkins, like actual pumpkins, pumpkin seeds, carving tools, art supplies for the art activities, the literacy materials, which are the books that we're reading the lessons, and some science tools. And then for community resources, it would be the local pumpkin patch that they would go to for the field trip.
Some more unit resources will be the field trips, pumpkin patch, visit the local pumpkin patch to learn about how pumpkins grow, the different sizes, shapes, and colors, and internet resources. So the interactive websites and videos that explain the life cycle of pumpkins in challenging formats, the audio visual resources, pumpkin themed songs, and videos to support math, language development, and engagement.
So other resources are from the dramatic play area set up by the pumpkin patch, which is the hardest part of the there's a library with books about pumpkins and fall stories. Also, the science area.
So art songs for parents for class. And then the family newsletter that I sent out that just kind of summarizes what they've learned, activities that they've done. And so this will allow the children to express their newfound knowledge to people, their families. So this is kind of a calendar. And then the last of the board will go to the filter. I think the Mondays.
Yes.
Yes, so like we did like the days that we would present our lessons. So Sam's is Monday, mine is Tuesday, Gladys's is Wednesday. And then Thursday we just kind of did like the lesson that they would learn about pumpkins is them like prepping for the pumpkin patch, like learning how to walk in a straight line, learning what to do with that. It would be the pumpkin patch field trip.
So then,
all the domains were included, the social, aesthetic, the physical, and the affective. So, lesson one.
So for, Monday, we will have, the standards will focus on engaging in book sharing, students with purpose and understanding and understanding and recognize how concepts apply. So for this activity, we'll do speak and have 5 little questions. And so by the end of this lesson, students will develop all oral language skills through active participation and read aloud students while sitting along with the books or pilot writing and count companies up to 5 with 1 to 1. So as well for, we will give, given a set of 5 companies, students will count it's allowed. And will always show what that um, and for the assessments, we will search students during the round for their grade to answer the top question. And monitor students while counting the activity to the numbers. And for the overall assessment, they would use a pumpkin counting map where students will match the correct number of pumpkins to the number of 1 to 5 and check it out. So for the small group activity, there were children talk, and they, before reading the book, teacher will guide the discussion. What do they know about pumpkins? So the children talk with pairs, and they will be asked to either look their needs to me and to turn as well. And after they come back, they will share with the whole class what they know about pumpkins, or we can do this as well after they read the book and see what they learned about. The whole group activity will be mostly reading the read aloud for Pizza Cat and 5 Little Pumpkins. So this teacher will pause and ask questions, encourage like participation, and say like questions like how many pumpkins are on the fence or what do you think will happen next, and show the restrictions as well. And for the individual lesson, as I said, they will have like the pumpkin and with 5 pumpkins. So they will roll the die and determine how many pumpkins they will place in the box and counting them aloud. And once they know, they will match. So for ELL students, we can faces slowly encouraged to use some gestures to support comprehension. For gifted students, we will add a math extension activity where they can get something from drawing and counting, or allow them to predict their drawing for the story as well. For students with special needs, we can use like larger pumpkins and break tasks into small steps, confident and force and forward.
And so for the second lesson, mine and Sam's are kind of similar, but this one's more difficult or it's more challenging for the kids just to learn to do what they learned last time. So the standard is show understanding of how to count out and construct sets of objects of a given number up to 5. So hopefully by the end of the lesson, students should be able to sort the pumpkin seeds into groups of 5 onto a paper plate, and it is hoped that they also start to write the number under each seed, but they're preschoolers, so. So the objective is that students will be able to sort pumpkin seeds into groups of 5 on the paper plate. For the assessments, again, it's just observing them through the read aloud and their ability to listen, and then participating in the questions after. For summative, using their plates with the pumpkin seeds on them, you'd be able to kind of tell who's grasping the concept and who's struggling. And so for the lesson, it's a whole group activity. The students will gather on the carpet and they'll read the book Hello World from Seed to Pumpkin, and it just talks about the life of a pumpkin. So after the book is read, the teacher can have mini pumpkins that they can pass around for the kids to start to feel. Once every student has had a turn with the pumpkins, the class will turn and talk to the person next to them and talk about what they've learned in the book. And then after about 5 minutes, they can come together as a class and talk about their favorite parts of a pumpkin. And then before they start the math lesson, they could start watching the groups of 5 video. Oh, we're not.
Yes.
And so for the individual activity, after the read aloud and the YouTube video, the kids can go back to their tables and the materials will be on there: paper plates, glue, crayons, pumpkin seeds. And so each student, to make it more challenging, because Sam's lesson was they had it numbered to try to have the kids be able to pick out 5 seeds and glue them on there to the best of their ability. And then after they have the 5 seeds, it would be the goal that they could start writing the numbers below it. So if they try to do it in a straight line, they could write 1, 2, 3 under it, but that might not be what happened. And also, if they're done or if they finish before the rest of the class or time's up, they can start decorating their plate with crayons and stuff like that. So for the ELL students, it was very similar to Sam's again. It was using visuals and models to support ELL learners. For gifted students, you could challenge them by making them put a bigger amount of seeds and write those numbers below. For students with special needs, it's again simplified instructions and clear examples. And then if there is another teacher in the classroom, you could have one-on-one assistance and allow extra time if needed. And I also put students with allergies, because I don't know if some people are allergic to pumpkins or not, but have a different related pumpkin object that they can use and do stuff.
So after the reading and the video, so we come into activity when we can start, the children can start working on it. So on Wednesday, we have the standards developing these models to represent their ideas, observations, and explanations through approaches such as drawing, building, or modeling with clay. Collect, describe, compare, and record information from observations and investigations. So the desired results is that by the end of the lesson, the student will be using various materials like clay, paper, scissors, Play-Doh to create different pumpkins models. The students will compare their observations and discuss similarities and differences between the pumpkins. So the learning's objective, a student will be able to create model pumpkins using different materials such as clay, Play-Doh, or paper, demonstrating their ability to represent their observations and ideas. The students will be able to compare and contrast different pumpkins models by recording observations and participating in discussions, highlighting similarities and differences. The assessment, formative assessments, as students work on their pumpkin models, teacher can use a checklist to document their use of materials, creativity in modeling, and engagement in describing their models. During the peer discussion, the student will compare their models. Teachers can assess a student's ability to express similarities and differences among the models. Summative assessment, the student will present their pumpkin model to the class, highlighting 3 characteristics. So for the small group activity, pumpkin models, teacher will set up 3 stations with different materials, clay, Play-Doh, and paper. With scissors and a small group of 4, the students will rotate through the stations to create pumpkin models using the material at each station. The student will be able to cut, fold, and decorate 3D pumpkin design. So for the whole group, the student will gather in a circle on the carpet. Teacher will show real pumpkins or images and demonstrating different pumpkin types and features to engage the class, and a discussion about size, color, and shape. And after the discussions, the student will place their models around the room, and teacher will conduct a gallery walk, allowing the students to see the exhibition and observe the similarities and difference between each pumpkin. For the individual pumpkin, they will do a pumpkin journal. For the students will be provided with a pumpkin journal and a page where they can draw and color the pumpkin models. Below, with a teacher assistant, the student will write a word and describe it, what makes their pumpkin unique. So for the EL students, use visuals and models to support verbal instructions. Teacher will provide sentence stems to help articulate their observations. My pumpkin is. Gifted students, teacher will offer opportunities for deeper exploration, such as researching different pumpkin species or incorporating elements, designs, and innovation in their models. Also allow them to assist peers in improving their models. And with the student with special needs, teacher will provide simplified instructions and clear examples, use adaptive tool like easier to model materials, offer one-on-one assistance, and allow extra time.
So overall, reflecting on how the Museo learned their plan and thinking how they connect with each other and trying to like make it a fun engaging hands-on so children with preschool students can engage with the pumpkin, like know the shapes, like the seeds, feel them, and like doing like their handwriting as well. And like having them like count in groups of 5 and all of this like to have all of this activities for diverse students as well. Thank you.
Always use the real pumpkin. No pumpkin images. Give them.
Pumpkin, like real pumpkin, or
Yes, of course.
that's fine. No. Do it.
Just one second. Trevor.
Sorry, I don't know why I'm shaking, but I'm shaking really bad. So our title for the unit plan is shape all around us. So we are trying to understand geometry through exploration and play. Our topic is math. We're working on geometry. And specifically, we are going to be looking at shapes and their attributes. So we are targeting kindergarten kids, and we are going to cover math, art, language art. Math, language arts, art, and science. So for our,
You need to advance the slide.
no, not yet. Sorry.
I just want to.
Sorry, I'll advance once we get to the first lesson. So we have a kindergarten classroom of diverse students, and our group is at the early stages of developing. So the students are curious to explore, to learn, and we are trying to focus on basic shapes such as circles, square, triangles, and rectangles. We are also trying to get the students to familiarize themselves with the attributes of each shape, so sides, corners, equal sides, etc. So
For our rational statement. Our unit takes advantage of the developmental stages by promoting our students' identity, compare and analyze different stages and their characteristics. An example would be involving them in activities by sorting the shapes by their size, color, and the number of sides to help them reinforce their classifying abilities and their logical reasoning. And it also helps with their fine motor skills because they will be tracing and trying and to construct the shapes in themselves. And it would help with their physical coordination because they'll be express themselves with through creativity
And many of the students should already know the basic shapes like circles, squares, and triangles, since they see them in the toys, books, and signs around them. And they will be exposed to, with our lesson, they'll be learning about the hexagon parallelogram and the idea of symmetry.
Eventually we'll get there because our lesson goes through 3 weeks. So this is just like the first week. So our goals and standards, we have a lot. So students will be able to identify, name basic two-dimensional shapes. Students will describe attributes of shapes such as number sides, vertices, edges, faces. Students will classify shapes based on their attributes and recognize shapes in different orientations. Students will explore the relationship between two dimensionals. Students will develop final reasoning skills by manipulating and constructing shapes. Students will practice comparing and contrasting shapes. Students will use mathematical vocabulary to describe and discuss shapes. Students will apply their understanding of shapes and several real-world problems, such as identifying shapes in their environment or creating patterns using shapes. Students will use shapes to create models, drawings, or design, fostering creating problem-solving skills. Students will work collaboratively in small groups and explore discussion shapes, fostering communication and teamwork skills, and students will engage on hands-on activities. This will encourage their exploration and their discovery. You guys will see the standards up there as well, sorry. So we'll start with our lesson and then we'll add on like our parent involvement. So for our first lesson, our objective is for students to be able to set a two-dimensional, will be given a two-dimensional shape set and they will have to correctly identify the name and name 4 shapes with 90% accuracy. So before we get started with this, so I kind of have a lot of stuff. I'll just show you guys really quick, but we'll do like an anchor chart and then I'll essentially we'll have like the shape. We'll have like the shapes up there for them. So we'll cut the anchor chart in 4 and we'll start with one shape. And trace it and kind of have the kids like air trace it with you as you're writing it on the board. So then essentially you guys will get to like have them raise their hands and kind of engage with like, what do you know about like a square, you know, like maybe you see it somewhere, etc. Or how many sides or corners. This will just kind of get them started on like introducing them to the shapes. So based on this introduction, we will yeah. So these are the standards that we will be aiming for this first lesson. And first, the introduction will be like 10 minutes. And after the introduction, for this introduction, we will ask the students like, what is the name of the shape? How many sides does the shape have? And then after we kind of like concluded this anchor chart, I'll play this, I'll play the shape song video that I kind of introed, started in the beginning. So it's just like it shows like the basic concept shapes and it kind of gets them up and moving. So I'll just kind of forward it a little. But I really like it because it's like very simple. And it kind of allows them to engage with it. And who doesn't like to remember a rhyming song, right? So I know that'll be in their head for like the whole week. So we'll do the video, and then after the video, we'll do some hands-on activity. So this is when students will explore shapes and their attributes by creating their own shapes on geoboards. I don't know if you guys seen these before. But essentially, every student will get one. They will create like the shapes here, as so you know, circle or we create squares, rectangles. So this will be the other hands-on activity. And then as teachers, we will come around and we will observe or like we'll have like this, on our clipboard, and we'll kind of have a sheet for like every student. And we'll kind of be observing as the students are working. We'll be observing, taking down notes, and kind of checking to see who got it and who didn't, and, yeah. So for this one, for the differentiating, we will, like I said, we will walk around the classroom and we will support any students that need help with this, or that, you know, still kind of struggling to get that shape in there. So that's for like our first lesson. Then our second lesson, our objective.
Our objective is to describe the attributes of shapes using appropriate mathematic vocabulary. 3 out of 4 stanzas. And these are the standards we would be using for it.
So this is basically day 2. So Monday, it was just introduction, kind of getting hands-on with what it is that we're gonna dig deeper into. So for day 2, we do the same thing. We review the shapes, but we review we review with like flashcards this time. So we'll have like these flashcards, and then we'll kind of, okay, you know, what did we say a circle was, you know, and then just have kind of like the kids interact with you, and then like ask them questions like, what shape is this? How many corners does it have? And then for our assessment, we will jot down on our worksheet, on our sheet, like, okay, like he got it or she didn't get it, or we can support the student better with like this, etc. And then our lesson for this one will be kind of a fun one, but I'll have magnifying glasses for all the students. So I want to pass these out just because I did make copies. And I want you guys to have them. If you don't want them, it's okay, but I think it's pretty useful. These are just like magnifying shapes. So you can cut them out and you can use them for your own classroom, but essentially the hunt will be like, they'll have like their magnifying glass and they'll kind of like go around the room and look for like shapes, you know, like a circle, like the clock is a circle, you know, or the door is a rectangle, or the window is a square. But I thought this was a pretty cool tool that we can use for. And yeah, it's essentially about. And then once like the kids are like, we'll give them 20 minutes to go over the classroom. And and then we'll gather the kids back, and we'll take 10 minutes to have like a quick discussion. Like, what did you find? You know, what attributes does that shape have, or that the door have, etc. And then to reinforce the learning, we will give an activity worksheet, and they will identify. So then this is the second one. This is kind of like on their own. So this is like where they kind of, it's like a kind of more like an independent. I'll also share with you guys this. And sometimes like students are done early, so I kind of put like a shape coloring code thing that they can do. Because I know sometimes students like to work fast, so not that they work fast, but they kind of get it, but then others don't. So I think it'd be fun if they finish and they can have like something else to work on, you know? Sorry.
The activity, we also do a coloring sheet with the crayon. And so, yeah, with that worksheet. And then for the differentiate Again, we will be walking around the classrooms now and make sure that they are able to label the pictures and draw the pictures during the little year hunt, the shape hunt. And extra time will be provided when they are sharing in the group.
So that was for lesson 2, so day 2. So now we'll do lesson 3, we'll do Wednesday. And the objective for this one is after completing the hands-on sorting activity, students will classify shapes and categories based on their attributes with 80% accuracy. So for this one, I'll give students like cutouts of squares, rectangles, and then I'll have them, like, this will be like the little summative assessment for us. So it's a little booklet that has like all the 4 shapes that we'll be talking about. And this part, this will allow them to practice their fine motor skills. So I know tracing is a little, or just for some students, it's a little hard, so we kind of have to support all our students, right? Definitely will trace this, and then with the cutouts that I give them, I'll give them like a little bunch of cutouts, and then they can just sort them themselves. And so for this one, the formative assessment, we'll also walk around and observe the students. And so for our introduction for this day, again, review what we did Monday and Tuesday, because you don't want them to forget what you did Monday and Tuesday. So review with flashcards, and I also have these little cute fun flashcards that you can like pass them around, and that they can like each take a look at them. So when we start this lesson, we'll start by asking the students questions like sorry, no, we won't ask them questions. We'll let them know what it is the next lesson that we are beginning with. So here we will we'll ask them a question like, for example, like what is it like that we can create shapes like using other materials? Like, what do you think we can create shapes with using other, there you go, using other materials. So my thing would be Play-Doh. So every student will get a like a mat of shapes. So I have 2 sets. I have these shapes, and then I have so we'll do popsicle sticks and we'll do clay. So half the group will get the popsicle sticks, and then half the group will get the shapes. And for these, we'll do the Play-Doh, and then for these, we'll do the popsicle sticks. And then we'll like eventually rotate and switch. But I'll also give you guys these because I also make copies. But this allows them to like, and you could do this with various things. You could do this with markers. You could do this with dry erase markers. You can laminate them like I did and just like save them. But this essentially this will be the summative. Sorry. Because this will allow us to know if the student got it. And then they can use they can also use the Play-Doh. They can also use the Play-Doh to like pick the images that correspond to each shape.
And then they will also be doing a step by step of drawing different shapes. And the teacher will be drawing it on the board, and they will have a piece of paper for them to try to copy it onto their own paper. And then we'll also give them some time to write down what like how many size, what is all the attributes about the shape they just drew that from the board. And then after that, we'll also have a sharing circle time with the sharing of the shape. And it will be like about what they drew. And the teachers will ask them if they have any questions to give the classmates feedback on the activity and what they like about the shape and the shapes and the attributes. The differentiation is that again we'll be walking around and we will make sure when they're doing the activity with either the popsicle or Play-Doh to make sure that they don't eat it. No, they don't poke each other with it. And extra time will be provided when they're doing that activity and then when they're also drawing and making their own little creation with the different shapes. And during the share.
And we'll have like extra time and more one-on-one for those who think they need that extra support. So for our parent involvement, we would send some practice things home. So for example, we tell the parents like, oh, on your way home, make sure as you're walking, you're talking to your child about what you see out, or like when you get in the car and you go somewhere, like have a conversation with your child of what it is that, you guys are looking in the road. Or maybe you can say like, oh, I'm gonna challenge you to like look for circles, what can you find out there? So those are things that practice work for home. So those are things that parents could do. And we will also send out weekly updates. So that allows us to have that open communication with our parents too. And that way they can see that, well, we're kind of like on their child. We're kind of, we want to see them grow, right? So that's what we do. We observe and we kind of give back feedback to the parents. Also, we would give tips to the caregivers. So to make sure that they feel confident and they can say like, oh yeah, I can support my child, because sometimes right now, like I just had a teacher tell me that one of her students doesn't do like homework at all. And she's like, Miss Tello, she's like, I don't know if like the parents can't read. And then I'm like, ding, ding, ding. I'm like, that might be the reason why, the child doesn't get the homework done. And he just doesn't, because the mom comes and she'll be like, oh, like, I didn't understand. But in Spanish, and the teacher, she tries, she's like, está bien, she'll be like, está bien. And I tell her, I'm like, well, what do you do? What do you do when that child doesn't bring? And well, that's another story, but yeah. Yeah, and for resources, well, you guys just saw all this stuff. Yeah, and to conclude, well, we believe that this lesson plan is essential for our kindergarten students because it's an essential milestone for them to for this foundation of math, especially when we deal with geometry. We want to make sure that they know what a circle is, what a square, a triangle, and a rectangle is, because beyond here, it just gets a little bit more complicated for them, with the 3D shapes, and it is a little hard sometimes for them. And also, let me read this one before I forget, because according to Piaget theory, the cognitive development is the stage where they enhance like their skills and they start sorting it. So I feel like this unit is very helpful and it's a good unit for the students. And yeah, they're able to explore and just learn new things, throughout all these activities. Thank you.
Right, who wants to go next? Yeah.
Hello, everyone. So we're gonna get started on our.
So our topic for titled Becoming a Reader. So we're focused on reading, understanding, and fluency. For each kind of reading, some of the topics are focusing on the concept of print, comprehension skills, and reading fluency, appropriate expression. So concepts. Well, it's a kindergarten class consisting of professors, background, and levels of skills. Having a speaking language other than efforts, and having prior exposure to books at home or in school, while others are encountering formal reading for the first time. So our rational statement, this lesson is for students to develop strong literacy skills by ensuring their understanding of what has been read and following up with comprehension questions. This instruction will support children's language development by providing opportunities to actively listen, retell the story, and answer comprehension questions. By the end of this lesson, children will be able to identify details of the story and demonstrate understanding through oral and written responses. All right. We also building reading comprehension, fluency, and vocabulary by engaging students in active listening and retelling. Students illustrate their social emotional development by sharing ideas with others and making interpersonal connections with what they have read. Based on interactive and scaffolding activities to actively engage children in developing literacy skills and integrating teacher-directed instruction, guided practice, and opportunities for independent work. So these are our goals and standards. One of our goals and standards is reading with understanding and fluency. Understand that pictures and symbols have meaning and that print carries a message. Demonstrate understanding of concepts about print, words, letters, space between words, and left to right. Comprehend a broad range of reading materials, retell information from a story, and respond to simple questions about reading. Some tools for assessing would include reading journal, where we would read out loud sessions, engaging students with questions and comments. In the journal, we would draw/write their favorite part of the story and want to share key details of the story. We would also provide worksheets and a book template specifically to demonstrate knowledge of concepts about the book, like front and back, covers, the index, etc. And we would use the tables assessment in the beginning, the middle, to end stages. So some parent involvement would be encourage daily reading at home, about 10 to 15 minutes every day for your child. Provide recommended books aligned with the lesson. Some sight word practice, providing a list of words with key sight words aligned with the lesson or labeled with written sight words placed around the home. And practice word to object. We also said to engage the children in conversation about the story they've read, ask questions about the main idea, sequence, etc. We would also be sending emails or letters, sharing weekly updates about the lessons and literacy concepts throughout the main area of focus, as well as suggested tips to effectively read your child. So this is our content map. Vocabulary building activity, the read aloud discussion, the social domain, the morning meeting, spoke about me, the effective feelings chart discussion. For the aesthetic domain, we put illustrate parts of the story, sing a song about the structure of a book. For the cognitive domain, we put interactive read alouds, as well as print concepts. For the physical domain, we put how to hold a book and turn pages, as well as identifying the direction of text. So these are some of our unit resources. The materials, we have physical book that we were reading, and supporting from female book templates. And the student can have the physical template of their own to show prints concepts. And the roll and tell worksheet plus the dice, as well as the reading journal. Well, we had guest speakers, and that would include the school librarians, the children's authors, the coaches who went to the local libraries, bookstores, museums, and resources would include interactive reading apps such as Starfall and ECED. So these are some of like the templates of the resources that we would use. So for basic concepts of fluency, we would do think of following as one of reading. These are some of the visual aids. For comprehension, we would use the row and tell as well as the story beach ball. You can also use the KWL charts. And this board right here, more than books, it's kind of connecting other objects outside the classroom that kind of tie with the topic. So here they have like different candy bars and like especially like the letters that you have. Everyone reads this. And then here these are some of the things that they would do. Reading journals. So we have reading prompts, and then in the middle they have a reading prompt, and then they would illustrate from said reading prompt. Wrap up, students will use their reading journals to record vocabulary words for the system. They will collaborate on a class book, contributing a written and illustrated page each. This may be concluded with a library visit where students' work will be displayed and they will participate in the story session. A reflection. So the most successful practices in our unit plan would involve interactive and hands-on activities, scaffolding, and incorporating students' interests and addressing their individual needs. Areas that may be revision would include the pacing and cultural relevance. Throughout this planning process, we learned that aligning objectives, activities, and assessments is crucial. Reflection is essential, as is adapting to the needs. Here we have our weekly activity plan chart. So for Monday, we would do the book template print concept. Tuesday, we would do the row and tell. Wednesday, we would do storyboard, which is kind of like sequencing. And then Thursday, we would do family stories. So family stories is basically they would be engaging with their families, and they would work together to come up with a story that they can tell to the whole class or in small groups. And then for Friday would be reading journals. That would be kind of like to wrap up the lesson for the week or like the topic for the week. So for the syllabus for this, the students will be able to actually get features of the book and standards. They understand that pictures and symbols have meaning, and that is message. Demonstrate understanding of concepts and topics. Students can recognize words, convey a message by reading a story, and to comprehend that reading text is read from left to right and top to bottom. Some of the assessments would include viewpoint assessment. Teachers will use the rules to assess the students' development of literacy skills. Checklists may be used, and observations, will take place throughout the time in the classroom. And, activities, the way our classroom will achieve these objectives is by providing hands-on activities and other visual aids. For example, a template activity that focuses on good concepts, where we will provide each student with a worksheet or a perspective with a picture. Arrows will point to different parts of the book. Another activity that implements print concepts would be some story time. During fun story time, gathering students to read a well-known book. To support diverse learners for this lesson, we can provide different sized books with large pictures and simple text, tactile experiences like sandpaper, letters, or puffy paints. Partner reading can be used as well by training learners who need support in modeling and reading activities.
This is our lesson plan 2, so our desired result would be students can demonstrate story. Some of the standards would be comprehend a broad range of reading materials, retelling information from a story, and responding to questions about reading. The learning objective would be students can discuss their understanding of what happened in the book by answering questions about what they read. So the assessment would be asking open-ended questions. They would orally retell the character, setting, events that occurred during the story. And then running record would be another assessment. It's a technique to evaluate a student's reading fluency and comprehension that involves identifying mistakes and observing the strategies employed while reading. The teacher will first read for Corduroy by Don Freeman, which can be read various times throughout the week. Capture students' engagement throughout the story. The teacher can point and move their fingers upwards and sentences while reading. You can also use the roll and tell or the story each fall to incorporate critical thinking comprehension. And then the way we would support diverse learners is providing flexible grouping would be, so for the whole group, it would be reading the story as a whole group, and then coming into small groups or centers when it comes to comprehension questions, and then independently, just like little illustrations of what they read. And then various text complicity, so like simple stories with repetitive language, we would utilize illustration to support comprehension for visual learners, and we would increase in complexity with more complex vocabulary and sentence structures, and then different strategies for question and response. So visual prompts or retelling, drum, label, and acting out.
Third lesson, students will develop early literacy and comprehension skills by retelling key details from the story. Standards or demonstrating alphabet knowledge, recognizing letters and their responses. The objective is students will accurately retell to the details of the story and record responses in their reading, giving and reading out loud. We will observe and document students' participation during the read out loud and retelling details. Review the reading journals for accurate retelling of 2 to 3 details, including sentences for the following. We would use visual aids like large illustrations or story sequencing parts to reinforce comprehension. Students will respond to the story in the reading journal by drawing a picture in the letter, 1 or 2 sentences about the previous part or key detail of the story. And they will share their journal entries with a partner practicing verbal retelling. This is where we would also provide for ELL learners, we would provide visuals and gestures to aid comprehension during the read aloud discussion. For gifted students, we would encourage them to add more detail to the reading journal, such as explaining why they like a particular part or predicting what might happen next. For special needs students, we would offer one-on-one support or work in small groups for guidance during the journal activity. For Yeah. This would include use of dialogues and visual purpose of the story, allow students to respond to the information and offer choices in various forms. Maybe still like that's it, yeah. No, no. Great, just you can use the thing. Okay. These stupid things. All right, take it away. That's the first grade. So they have background of children have classroom, first grade class, and each have different cultures in the house, so we have 4 respective students, 2 are American, and then we speak Spanish and English. We have 1 Colombian, Colombian, and we have 1 only speaks Spanish and 1 only speaks English. We have a English girl that speaks English, 9 Asian students, 4 Japanese students that only speak Japanese, 1 Chinese student that speaks Chinese and English, 4 Indian, 1 more 3 foreigners that all speak in Hindi. 3 African Americans, both speak English, and then 3 both speak English. So the theme of our uniform, our title is Celebrations Around the World. It is the different cultures. Our targeted age group, that is the first graders. The content areas that we covered is social studies. So understanding different cultures and traditions, learning about different countries and the type of celebrations they have, exploring the concept of communities and how different people celebrate one another. For language arts, we focus on reading stories and books about celebrating different from different cultures, writing about favorite celebrations and describing traditions and vocabulary with words related to celebrations, so like different phrases you say. For arts, we created craft decorations. We did drawings inspired by various cultural celebrations and learning traditional dances and music associated with different cultures and traditions. For math, we included counting, adding, subtracting different quantities of objects from different cultures. For the concepts, the background information about the children, the first graders are very curious about learning about other cultures other than their own, and they also like hands-on learning, so we try to incorporate hands-on experience involved in the cultures. For background knowledge, some children already have experiences within their own cultures and traditions, so we also included the other cultures.
For the weekly activity plan chart for 1 week, I did a lot of different like domains that are every day has a different domain. Everything's covered. So for example, for Wednesday, for the cognitive, we would learn about Hanukkah traditions, including lighting the menorah and new vocabulary. So then using that vocabulary for the language domain, we would practice writing those different new vocabulary words that they learn. For the aesthetic, with table groups, make a group of paper menorah with tissue paper flame. For the social domain, discuss how people celebrate with family and friends during Hanukkah. So what they learned during the cognitive domain, basically. And then for the physical domain, play a dreidel spinning game with movement prompts. So, like example, like spinning, hopping, and clapping. And then for the affective domain, it'd be share about a time they gave someone a gift, something like about how during Hanukkah they do that. During the cognitive domain. And then for the rationale statement, celebrations around the world will help first graders learn about different cultures and traditions, which builds their understanding and respect for others and their own culture. At this age, children are curious about the world and ready to explore ideas like diversity and belonging. This unit would help them connect to their developmental stage by encouraging social emotional skills like empathy and appreciation for not only their own cultures but others as well. It is known that most young children learn best through hands-on experiences and storytelling, which this unit includes by using books, crafts, and discussions about celebrations. It also connects to what children already know, as they may have experienced their own family celebrations and can share these with their classmates. By teaching this unit, we would expand their worldview, help them develop cultural awareness, and strengthen their social and academic skills in a fun and meaningful way. And then so the goals and standards, participate in collaborative conversations with diverse partners about grade one topics and text with peers and adults with small and larger groups. Follow agreed upon rules for discussions, for example, listening to others with care, speaking one at a time about the topics and text under discussion. B, build on others, talk in conversations by responding to the comments of others through multiple exchanges. C, ask questions to clear up on any confusion about the topics and text under discussion. And then describe people, places, things, and events with relevant details, expressing ideas and feelings clearly. Add drawings or other visual displays to descriptions when appropriate to clarify ideas, thoughts, and feelings. Write informative, explanatory text in which they name a topic, supply some facts about the topic, and provide some sense of closure. Demonstrate command of the conventions of standard English grammar and usage when writing or speaking, and work with addition and subtraction equations. So assessment tools to collect students' work to review progress, so to the portfolio, drawings, writing, samples, crafts and math worksheets, exit tickets where write and draw one thing they learned about like playing traditions, class discussions, assess students' ability to recall information about different cultures through verbal sharing. Performance-based, observe students during role-playing activities, storytelling, or acting out different cultural practices. Informal quizzes games, for example, trivia or interactive games that to check understanding, for example, Kahoot. Same rules but different. Kind of things like that.
And so for our resources, the different resources we had was craft supplies like paint and markers for the students for making like the dimensions and other crafts related to other cultures. For visual aid, we have maps, cultural celebration videos, flashcards with key vocabulary. For math materials, we have sugar skull pictures and food store cards with the number on them. For community investigators, we have the parents and local community members to share cultural traditions. For books, we have a pendant that we built, and we have the Runway Walk, both are cultural books, and then online resources, we use YouTube videos on cultural dancing and celebration, or also National Geographic events, such as articles on education. For audio and visual, we use traditional music, the mariachi, Mexican culture, Chinese music songs, Monica songs. And then for field trips, we can go to like a local museum or festival.
So for the first mini lesson, I focus on Dia de los Muertos, which is Day of the Dead. So for the introduction, I would just begin by asking them what they already know about Mexico, just in case any of them have any background information that they can share with their friends first. And then show the kids a map and locate Mexico on the map, just to kind of give them an idea where it is. And then I would go with the story time and discussion. So we'd read a book about Dia de los Muertos, which focuses on the ofrenda, which is the altar. And then I would use visuals to kind of explain it to them further. So like the altar, the flower that they use, which is marigolds, and sugar skulls, which you could see on the top left. And then just encourage the students to share how their families celebrate special days and what they learned throughout the book. And then for the craft, I would do the paper banners, papel picado, which is the picture right there, which they just fold the paper and cut out like shapes and things to make a pretty banner. And then I would hang it around the classroom to kind of show them what they did so they could be proud of it and everything. And then for the music and movement, I would do a short clip of mariachi music, and let the kids explore with folklorico dance moves inspired by traditional Mexican dances, which is the girl on the bottom left. And then to wrap it up, I would ask them to share what they learned about the Mexican culture and end with an exit ticket, which is the assessment to draw about their favorite part of the Mexican culture learned from the lesson. So this is the curriculum standards, the learning objectives, and then as I said, the assessments would be either the exit ticket, or I could also ask the students to share aloud one thing they learned about Mexican culture or what their favorite thing was. And then for the differentiations, considering the ELL students, gifted students, or students with special needs, I would support diverse learners during this lesson by using visual aids, pairing ELL students with peers who can model tasks and provide more support. Offer extended challenges for the gifted students to create more complex like math problems, for example, which I forgot to mention in the last slide. But it's just counting sugar skulls and adding and subtracting them. And then encourage them to research and share an additional Mexican tradition with the class, which would be like if we had iPads and stuff, but yeah. And then offer a step-by-step guidance and check for understanding frequently during the activities, just to see what they need help with, or if they're okay, they need a little more work to do. And adjust tasks such as reducing the number range for math or pre-cutting the papel picado shapes and just have them color it instead of cutting it if they're having difficulty with it.
With the beginning lesson two, it would be a classroom celebration for you, which is like focusing on different ways people celebrate in their culture. I would also put an introduction, ask them what is a celebration, and then ask the students how they celebrate. Just to see if they're like a refresher knowledge on discussing different ways people could celebrate, and you can either write a list or just discuss that with you. Then I would go to play a song for them to dance and sing along about celebration. And for story time, we would read a book. There's also like a virtual version of it, and then talk about the different types of phrases or actions that are done to celebrate. So in the video, there's examples like on birthdays we sing happy birthday, or Thanksgiving we bring food together, and the different ways people celebrate different holidays and traditions. We also use visuals to show the different ways to celebrate different things. For example, pictures of different cultural foods, dancing, songs, instruments and different clothing people wear. Um, and then we would also have presentations. So we would have each of the students go up and share their own way of celebrating in their culture. They would provide examples of celebrating, such as playing a song, dancing, using an instrument, wearing specific clothing, or a certain food. And then to wrap up the lesson, the students will reflect on what they learned from other presenters. So they can discuss or draw what celebrations from other cultures are similar or different from their own personal cultural celebrations. And then this is like the standards. So our desired result will students will develop an understanding of the different ways people celebrate around other cultures in the classroom by demonstrating ways of celebrating. So for the standards, it was about recognizing individual and group similarities and differences, such as describing the ways that people are similar and different, or identifying differences among and contributions of various social and cultural groups. For the learning objectives, students will be able to identify the different ways people celebrate by presenting a formal celebration. For assessments for this lesson, it would mostly be observation. Notes can also be taken during the student presentations. And then the end of the lesson reflections could also be another assessment. So you'll see if the students learned about other cultures and celebrations through their reflections or drawing. For the learning activities, it would be celebration songs, videos, group discussion, individual presentations, and then the end of the class reflection. For differentiation, we would use the visual aids and the labels in different languages. We would offer extended challenges, such as assigning a different culture to each student. And then for students with special needs or so, we can pair them with a student or peer to work on it together. And for the third main message, this is like a process to so like after the video, function, for example, like time the answer, and those functions are doing my body. And rice, we don't together do, we can do the body, vegetables, and that's not the move that the body can see. After that, we have something, part, roots, and head, about what they use for breath or parts of it. That's part of it. And divide into instead of for the three various types of and therefore on the purpose of what we do. How to get one for the different solutions, visual aids and labels and visual abundance.
So to conclude all of this, at the end of the meeting, students will share what they have learned in a fun and interactive way. So students will present their celebration passports to the class where they highlight the different traditions and celebrations they explored. They will share their art, craft work, stories, and any food or items they've learned about students. Will present their findings to the class and share traditions and forms of celebration from their own cultures. Global Celebration Day, the class can celebrate with an international day where students participate in activities related to the culture studied, such as dancing to mariachi music, trying snacks from different countries. And then parent family celebration party, students can invite their parents to join the class for a special performance or event and bring in a form of celebration from their own cultures. Parents can participate in the cultural day, bring in food or share their traditions with the class. Students and parents will perform dances or use instruments from their own cultural celebrations. They may also play songs from their cultures and bring books and clothes that are represented in their celebrations. And then, like to reflect with the class, the students will draw or write a reflection about what they learned and what celebration they found most interesting. Students will share new findings and will compare and contrast similarities and differences between celebrations of other cultures. This will help them reflect on their own experiences and new knowledge while also practicing their writing. So reflection, creating this unit has given us a deeper understanding of how powerful hands-on multicultural learning can be in building empathy and global awareness in young children. This approach not only engages students, but also allows them to connect their own cultural backgrounds with those of others, fostering a sense of community and inclusivity. In practice, we believe this unit would be very successful in helping children appreciate and respect cultural diversity. We anticipate that the activities, particularly the arts and crafts, will be most successful in keeping students engaged and excited about the lessons. The hands-on nature of the lessons will allow students to connect with the material on a deeper level, reinforcing what they have learned about different holidays. However, one area that might need review is the language barrier for some ELL students, even though we have improved visual aids and peer support strategies. Ensuring that all students understand the concepts and vocabulary might require extra time and tailored instructions. Perhaps more interactive language-based activities could be included to support ELLs further. Additionally, we would consider revisiting some of the assessments to ensure that they are accessible for all learners, including those with special needs. Through this process, we've learned the importance of combining academic content with real-world connections, allowing students to actively engage and share their knowledge. This not only aids in cognitive development, but also helps students build social emotional skills by promoting understanding, respect, and empathy for one another's differences.
All right. You are ready to get out of here. You're running out the door. I know. Go. All right, well, that's a wrap for us. Did it, we made it, feel better. Just make sure you post your unit plan documents. Great. The lesson, the assessment, get that uploaded, put on watermark. And do the course evaluation, do everyone, if we get 100% participation, we'll get 5 extra credit points. So you wanna try to remember to do that.
Any questions? No, you can just submit like your, yeah, as long as you have all those elements that were in the assignment guidelines, you can just submit whatever you, yeah, you don't have to make it do anything else. Just make sure it's there, so I can just like go back to it and look at it if I need to. I try to take notes, but I like forget. Sometimes my handwriting is really bad, so I can't even read what I've written, so. Okay, so any other questions? Okay, well, how many of you will I see next semester? Or take it out and be done. Right. Okay, well, I will see some of you next semester. Those I don't see, let me know what you need, or maybe I will see you in semesters to come. I always tell this to all my students, once you're my student one time, you're always my student, so whatever you need, recommendation letter or whatever, please feel free to reach out. Office is right there, come by and visit. All right. That's it. Been a pleasure. It was a fun class. Thanks for making my first time teaching the class so fun. If you need anything as you wrap stuff up for this class, other classes, again, reach out. Have a great break. Good luck finishing everything. I'm rooting for you. You've got this. You got this. You can do it. Take a donut or a sandwich in the road. There's just like a URL, I think. I have to look at it. Yeah. 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 Like write your name in the chat. Are you not so far away. Fun holidays, man, for our last class. I gotta pass the. Do you guys? For the class, well, I would love to. But I'm like,